Hey there, welcome back to the Steel City Sports Podcast from Pittsburgh, PA. Today we're going to be doing the NBA Fantasy Draft, which is essentially us just resetting the NBA and seeing what 10 players would go first. And I think this is a good hypothetical way to gauge people's values. And keep in mind, these are teams that are just completely resetting. We're just resetting the league. And these are the 10 players I think that would go first in the draft. So keep in mind, age is a big factor here. It's not necessarily just the best players of today. Players like KD or LeBron or Steph are not on this list because of their age. At best, you're getting 3 more years of their prime. Whereas some of these other players, you can build around them for, 10 plus years. So definitely keep in mind the age factor. And keep in mind, this is my opinion, but let's get into it here. With the number 1 overall pick, we have Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's 27 years old, so you're probably going to get another 5 to 6 years of this level of play out of Giannis. I think he's currently the best player in the NBA right now. He's already won a championship. He's already won back-to-back MVPs. He's already won a Defensive Player of the Year. I think he's the most dominant player on both sides of the ball. And I just think there's no player out there right now that can carry a franchise like Giannis can. And particularly, you look back to the playoffs last year where Giannis didn't have his second best player in Chris Middleton, and he still took the Boston Celtics to 7 games, the team that went on to go to the finals. He took that team to 7 games without his second best player, and he was basically doing everything. And I just think this is kind of a no-brainer. I mean, there are definitely younger guys on this list. If you want to take them just for the age reason specifically, I kind of understand that. But just for Giannis's dominance right now, I still think you're going to get a good chunk of time out of him. I think he would go number 1 overall. And with the number 2 overall pick, we have Luka Doncic. He's 23 years old, so if you want to take him over Giannis just for the fact that he's 4 years younger, I get that. And he's already been to a conference final. The craziest thing about Luka is at the age of 23, he's already made All-NBA First Team 3 times in his career, which is actually just unheard of. It's kind of crazy how good he is at a young age. Think of how good he'll be in 5 years from now. He is just the complete offensive player. Basically, is just an offense on his own. And, outside of them experimenting with Porzingis, they've never really had a, clear star next to Luka. It's really just been, a lot of good role players, and he's consistently gotten them into the playoffs. And like I said, last year they got to a conference final already. So I don't think really anyone's going to have any problems with this. And like I said, if you want to put him as the number 1 pick just because he's 4 years younger, and he plays guard, and guard is such a important position in today's game, I wouldn't be mad, but I have him at 2. And with the number 3 pick, a guy who went 3rd in his draft is Jason Tatum. He's 24 years old, already been to an NBA Finals. Ever since he's got to the Celtics, they've basically been a powerhouse. They've been to, 3 conference finals now, and the finals last year. And the thing about his game is he's extremely versatile. And you look at some of the greatest players in NBA history, he really fits into that mold of a two-way wing who plays really good, versatile defense, can switch on to any position. And offensively, there's really not many holes in his offensive game. He can dribble like a guard. He can shoot with the best of them. He can take it to the rack. He can get to the line. You look at guys like MJ, LeBron, Kawhi, Kobe, guys who guarded and got you a bucket. Jason Tatum is very much in that mold, and I think he goes here just for the fact of his versatility, and I think Jason Tatum's only going to get better as he gets older. We've seen each year of his season him progressively get better from, his first year, really good, then his second year, like an all-star, third year, looked really good, all the way up until now where he's a legitimate MVP candidate. Last year, he just made his first All-NBA team. So he only gets better every season. He's only 24. He's already been to a finals. I have him here at 3. And with the number 4 pick, we have Ja Morant. He's currently 23 years old, and he's one of the most exciting, athletic, and explosive players in the NBA right now. Just for the fact that he is at the guard position. Point guard is probably the most important position in today's league. and the fact that he's so dominant, probably a top 2 to 3 player at his position, depending on, I think we all kind of acknowledge Luka's a 1 at this point, so I'd say he's a top 3 point guard in the NBA right now, only 23, led them to an extremely impressive season last year, which I didn't see coming, them being the second seed last year, and he won most improved player last year, and, I knew he was going to take another step, but he took like 2 steps last year, and he's only getting better. The only thing that concerns me with Ja Morant, and the only reason why I took Tatum over Ja Morant, is because of his play style could lead to injuries. His comp has been Derrick Rose for a reason, for the explosiveness, and we all know what happened to D. Rose. So it does worry me with his explosive play style. We've also seen other highly athletic guards like him, like John Wall is another good example, who were really good for like 5 years, and then after that, they dealt with a lot of injuries. So that does worry me with Ja, but he's, I think, a very complete player. He's a very good playmaker. He's improved his three-point shot every single year. He's been in the league, and he's also getting better on the defensive side of the ball, and I just think he's a great natural leader as well. So I have him here at number 4. With the 5th pick, we have Zion Williamson. He's 22 years old right now, and the last time we saw him play a fully healthy season, he averaged 27 points per game and was on the All-NBA team. Of course, the big concerns with Zion, and we knew this even whenever he was coming out of Duke, is the injuries, and he's missed a lot of time. He missed basically half of his rookie season. He was relatively healthy for the 21 season. He missed all of last season, but thus far he's played every game this year, or close to every game this year. So hopefully the injury stuff is done. He's had a lot just for how young he is. I'm hoping it's over, because when he is on the court, he is one of the most explosive, electrifying players in the NBA. There's a reason why there was so much hype around Zion, and he's just so efficient. Obviously, there are rooms to Zion's game that can grow. His three-point shot definitely needs to improve, and his defense, for the way he's built, you would think he is a better defender, but situationally he can be good, but overall he's not a great defender. But again, he's only 22 years old. He's really only played like a year and a half of basketball, so he's still very, very raw, and I think he has a long way to go, but he'll get there. He definitely will get there. I think as long as he doesn't get back over the 300-pound mark, he'll be fine in terms of his injuries, or at least I'm just crossing my fingers. I hope so, because he is so fun to watch, and 22, so he's at 5. And 6th overall, we have Trae Young. He's currently 24 years old, and ever since he's gotten to the league, outside of his rookie year, he has been an offensive juggernaut. Last year, basically alone carried the Hawks to a top 5 offense. He's already been to a conference final. One of the best playoff runs in recent memory was Trae Young in the 2021 season. He's one of the best three-point shooters in the league. Not in terms of his, I'm not saying one of the most efficient three-point shooters. He has struggled with that from time to time. He has gone on slumps, but just from his range, his ability to hit threes from basically anywhere past half court, he really is the second coming of Steph in that way, and he's also one of the best playmakers in the NBA. I think that's a really underrated part of Trae Young's game, because we all focus on the shooting and the dribbling, the ball handling, but he really is one of the most gifted passers in the league right now. So I have him at 6 for that. And with the 7th pick, we have Nikola Jokic. He's 27 years old, back-to-back MVP. And the thing about Jokic is he can really carry a team. Last year, carried the Nuggets to the 6th seed without MPJ and Jamal Murray. The year before that, those guys got hurt. Well, actually, MPJ did play, but Jamal Murray was out, and he still led them to the 3 seed. They beat the Blazers in the first round. So he can carry a team for sure. And he's basically a point guard in a center's body. He's extremely efficient. He gets a ton of rebounds. The only real hole in his game is defense, and he definitely has improved on that. I don't think he's the best center in the NBA. I still think Joel is a better overall center in today's game. But just for a long-term standpoint, I think Jokic is the safer bet because, he doesn't have the injury concerns, and he is a year younger than Joel. So also, if you want to hear further conversation about Nikola Jokic, definitely check out my past 10 MVPs ranked video, because we cover him a lot in that. So I have him going at 7. And number 8, we have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and I feel like this is really the year that a lot of normies or casual NBA fans are really going to start to know the name Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think he's going to be an all-star for the first time in his career. He's 24, and he's already been one of the best players at his position. If you guys, I didn't put this on this channel, but a while back I predicted that SGA was going to be better than Ja Morant. Obviously, that take aged very poorly, but it just shows that I've always been very high on SGA. He's one of the most crafty playmakers in the NBA, very smooth, reminds me of Kyrie a bit in that way. His three-point shot, I think, definitely needs to come around. He kind of hit a slump this year with the three-point shot, but even without his three-point shot falling at a high rate, he's still averaging 31 points per game this year, and it feels like OKC is finally just letting him do his thing. He's been really good in years past, but OKC has shut him down, halfway through seasons because they're tanking for higher picks and stuff. But it feels like this year OKC is just letting SGA play his style, and we're finally getting to see the full version of him. And he was mentored by Chris Paul for a year. He has really good playmaking ability, and I just think he's one of the more young, exciting players, and extremely underrated just for the fact that he is on the Thunder. So I have him at 8. And with the 9th overall pick, we have Devin Booker. He's 26 years old, made the All-NBA first team last year, and made it to a finals 2 years ago. And ever since Chris Paul's got there, him and Chris Paul have been one of the best duos in the NBA. They've been an offensive juggernaut. Last year, they won over 60 games. And Devin Booker, I think the thing about his game that is underrated, like we all know he's a good shooter, but he is criminally underrated as a three-point shooter. I would honestly put Devin Booker, just for the volume he takes them, for the range, and for the efficiency, I would say he's a top 5 three-point shooter in the NBA right now. And he's just one of the best bucket getters in the NBA. A lot of people contend that he is the best shooting guard in the NBA right now. I think it's hard to rank just because we're in such a positionless era. It's kind of hard to tell who's playing what position, but he is widely considered to be the best shooting guard in the NBA. He's been to a finals. He's only 26. It's kind of crazy that he's that young. It feels like he's been in the NBA forever, but he's just been a bucket ever since he's gotten into the NBA. So he goes here at 9. And with the 10th overall pick, we have Evan Mobley, who's 21 years old, and I already consider him to be one of the best defensive players in the NBA. The thing that's really impressive about Evan Mobley's game, he's averaging 15 and 10 playing alongside Jared Allen. Think of how much paint space Jared Allen takes up. That just shows how good he is at getting rebounds and how good he is at stretching the floor. He's one of the best at doing that. I personally think he should have won Rookie of the Year. Not trying to take anything away from Scotty. I just think Evan Mobley was more impressive to me, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. And offensively, he very much so reminds me of a Chris Bosh, where he can stretch the floor and, even at times put it on the floor, which Bosh could do. So, and he's probably not, a 1, although we haven't seen him in that role. That's the interesting. A lot of these guys have had their chance to be the best player on their team. Well, Evan Mobley is probably right now the second or third best player on his team. I mean, Donovan's 1 and then Garland's 2. Then it's probably either him or Jared Allen. So he's in a unique situation there, but he's been extremely productive, even though he's playing with other really good players. They're probably a contending team this year, and he is a main factor as to why they are so good. And he's only 21. I think if you put him on his own team, where it's basically just him and a bunch of nobodies, I think he would be unstoppable, like in terms of just his stats, and I think he'd be a lot more known around the league. But that's going to do it for the fantasy draft. Definitely stay tuned for more videos coming. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for listening.